If you're flying to Japan anytime soon, and economy class is all you can afford, it's hard to go wrong with ANA. The economy seats on their 777-300ER are incredibly spacious, and the cabin crews are nothing short of phenomenal. That said, things aren't quite as good as they used to be. For the record, this is PM, not AM. Hey everyone, it's Scott from SANspotter.com, and yeah, I'm a bit out of my comfort zone here. Where exactly is here? Well, it's Terminal G at SFO, the international terminal, and I am on my way to Tokyo tonight in ANA 777-300 economy class, which is scheduled to depart at 1:45 a.m. This is literally the last flight of the night out of SFO, and let me tell you, it's every bit as inconvenient as it sounds. Which really ticks me off because this ended up being the most convenient Trans-Pacific option for me, at least in terms of making the connection to my ultimate destination for this trip, which is Hiroshima. Gate G7 is where this flight will be departing from tonight, assuming I can stay up that late. I kid you not. For a guy that normally goes to bed at 9:30 p.m. every night, this is going to be a challenge. I will admit that it was kind of neat though, because Terminal G here at SFO gets a little spooky after 1 a.m. Here's our plane pulling up to the gate. It's a 13-year-old 777-300ER, which I'm sure has flown between San Francisco and Tokyo a time or two before. Just a hunch. This aircraft actually arrived from Tokyo earlier in the afternoon and had been sitting on a remote stand slowly getting prepped for tonight's trip back to Japan, so the only thing that the ground crew had to do was load her up with catering and cargo, which is something that I can imagine that everyone appreciated given the ungodly early hour. Oh, and if I didn't mention it already, this flight is actually going to the Haneda airport, and not Narita. As a reminder, Haneda is the most convenient option for anyone staying in Tokyo or making domestic onward connections, like I am. It is the most inconvenient, however, for anyone in the US, like me, who prefers to go to bed at a reasonable hour. The Haneda airport is severely slot restricted, which results in some less than ideal departure times from the US. Just like everything else in Japan, the boarding process was, for the lack of a better term, organized. I mean, really, this was essentially the opposite of pretty much every Spirit Airlines flight that I've ever taken, where it's nothing but pure chaos as soon as there's even a hint of boarding starting soon. This was kind of refreshing. It was also a bit of a walk. These are very premium heavy aircraft, with a relatively small economy class section way in the back. That's where I'm headed. Eventually. Yep, it's a middle seat for me tonight, which I was perfectly okay with, thinking that it was going to make for a better video. I mean, I already knew that ANA economy class was nice, but this would be the ultimate test. The main thing that makes this seat so comfortable is the generous legroom. This is ridiculous, in a good way, and very much on par with many of my recent premium economy experiences. I can think of a lot of other places that I'd rather be at 1:45 a.m., but this is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. There are full-size electrical outlets with USB ports just above the seat pocket, a handy remote control located just below the video screen, and check this out, a real pair of headphones. You know what? This might not be so bad after all. I've got an empty seat to my right, and the most legroom I've seen in economy class, like, ever, so there's a lot that's going to have to go wrong to make this miserable. Hey, just just announced a flying time of 10 hours and 6 minutes, which is relatively short for a flight to Tokyo out of SFO. We even pushed off the gate right on time, so far, this is turning out to be a pretty nice experience. And remember, that's saying a lot from a guy who normally goes to bed at 9:30 p.m. Of course, those of you who read my review of this flight over on SANspotter.com 2 weeks ago already knew that. That review contains a lot of bonus content that you won't see in this video, by the way, so it's worth checking out if my casual approach to airline reviews isn't completely repulsive to you. Another very premium economy-ish thing about this experience so far are these surprisingly thick blankets. The water isn't all that fancy though, which is fine, because you know what? I'm usually not all that picky this early in the morning. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the in-flight entertainment. It's not like I'm actually going to watch anything right now, but that's not the point. The point is that this is a surprisingly good video entertainment system, and I'm not just saying that because the screens are absolutely huge. The selection of content is actually impressive. Not only that, if my brain was functioning properly at this early hour, I could show you how to pair your device with the screen. I just wasn't quite in the mood to test it out. Also, it's not very often that I'll have something to say about these cheap little remote controls, but in this case, it's legitimately going to come in handy if you're short and you can't quite reach the screen because of how generous the legroom is. Speaking of reach, it looks like it's going to be a long flight to Japan tonight. Have you ever wondered what kind of food they serve at economy class on a long-haul flight departing at 1:45 a.m.? Well, here you go. In ANA's defense, I'm not even sure that any food at all was necessary given the circumstances. And, well, let me tell you, it's a good thing that I wasn't hungry at all because there wasn't much inside this box that was appealing to me. Not even the cookies. As sacrilegious of a statement that may be. Again, I just want to make it clear that I am not complaining about this. I wasn't expecting any food at all, let alone the opportunity to get awkward footage of me eating a banana for the review. Not only was I not in the mood to fully test out the video entertainment system earlier, a full Lou review wasn't very high on my list of priorities either. That said, just like the legroom back at my seat, the size of this space was nothing short of impressive. I do know that the overall size of the aft lavatories on most Boeing 777s are similar, but it doesn't matter because I just discovered this self-serve snack bar, and you're darn right I'm going to grab some stuff to take back to my seat. Nope, I have no idea what these are, but I am willing to risk it. Let's talk about seat comfort for a moment. It was especially important to me on this flight, given our obnoxious departure time, and I'm happy to report that I actually slept pretty well. And to be clear, I define fairly well as 4 hours of light sleep intermingled with frequent status checks on our progress. The seats were fine. No complaints from me. Here comes the mood lighting, which is the indication that the second meal service is about to begin. I'm just going to tell you right now that this was probably the most disappointing part of this entire experience. Except for the menu. Menus with pictures kick ass. So, here's the deal. The last time I flew ANA Economy was 10 years ago, and I know it's been a while, but I seem to recall that the food was much higher quality back then. Yes, this is perfectly fine by economy class standards, but I was expecting a little more from ANA. At least something a little more Japanese. I don't know. Maybe I was expecting too much. Let's move on. Actually, before continuing on, it's important to say that the food tasted good, and it was a perfectly acceptable pre-landing meal. I just wanted it to be better, that's all. Okay, We are on the approach into Tokyo now, and I'm running out of time to sum this up. So let me begin by telling you how much this cost. That'll help put my summary into better perspective, I think. It was $2,000. Now, keep in mind that that price was the cost of my full round-trip itinerary from San Diego to Hiroshima and back, but still, that's a bit spendy for long-haul economy, in my opinion. Anyway, despite the food, and maybe the cost, I'm of the opinion that ANA long-haul economy is still one of the best long-haul economy products in the entire world. The seat, in regards to both comfort and features, has a lot to do with it, but it's the cabin crew that made all the difference. If you've never experienced Japanese service culture before, you're in for a treat. So, welcome to Tokyo. Local time is a brutally early 4:30 a.m., but honestly, my body clock is all screwed up, and what it says on my watch is basically irrelevant. Sure, I feel absolutely wrecked, but still surprisingly energetic, given the circumstances. I'm just happy that I'm not going to have to call for a stretcher to get me off this plane. Going back to the cost of the ticket for a moment, I should point out that this was a little more expensive than flying United on the Trans-Pacific leg, and you know what? It was worth it to pay more to fly ANA. I got a lot more legroom, better in-flight entertainment, and a spectacular and highly proactive cabin crew. I would not hesitate to do this again. And for those of you wondering why I didn't fly Japan Airlines out of San Diego, the limited connections to Hiroshima from the Narita airport made it a surprisingly inconvenient option, which is unfortunate because I'm always looking for an excuse to fly nonstop to Japan from San Diego. But wait, before you go, stay tuned because I've got more ANA reviews from this trip coming up, and, well, let's just say that my admiration of this airline, but not the food, only gets better from here. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.